Alrighty. Nobody's watching yet, but if anybody does start talking, well, we'll see. First things first, I want to activate the chat dock. What do you mean no stream is supported? Oh. Whoops. I gotta fix this. There we go. There we go. I had a little hiccup. Had a little hiccup in my preparation, but we are now ready to rock and roll. Alrighty. Let's see here. I want to open up my beverage. I wish there was a nice bright sound notification to tell me when somebody is in the chat. So first thing I need to do is I need to get my tool ready for usage. I kind of broke a blade a week ago. Okay, good, we got it. Alright, that was easy. Now I just need to find a blade. It doesn't have to be a perfect blade, but it needs to be a functional blade. Alright, that could do. That's option one. Where'd I put the rubbing alcohol? Who needs it? Okay. Now, I probably should get some rubbing alcohol. I got some isopropyl alcohol in another room. Interesting. Dropped frames, 8%. Oh well. So I'm just looking through my desk right now. I got some Tamiya masking tape, stuff that I don't really use too often. I got a Skizor. I got a roll of film that has nothing to do with this task at hand. A screwdriver, a screw that might come in handy. I just blew on a Nintendo upgrade pack. Let's put the roll of film away. Alright, here we are. Very, very good. We got different blades. They're all looking like a mess, but I like this flat one. It's like a spatula. Then we can always use the sharp blade later. And we're going to transition this into a gaming stream. Of course, nobody's watching right now, so it doesn't really matter. So I may have to crack open a window at some point. Huh, what is this? This looks like something important. It's like a clippy thing from something that utilizes a clippy thing. Alright. So, first and foremost, we need to remove the paint job. Now, I guess I could try to use, the Tamiya paint job remover. Paint thinner. But we're gonna go and keep it real simple. We're gonna use this sandpaper. And somewhere in my nearby vicinity, I have a block, a sanding block, for, more rough detail. I don't know where it is right now, so I guess we're not going to use it, but I do have one somewhere. It's a very rough sanding block. It's not at all intended for fine detail. So, it doesn't have to be a perfect job, but we want to get rid of the paint job because we're going to reprime this, and then we're going to repaint it. And I grabbed reasonably coarse sandpaper. I don't know if this is as coarse as I got, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to get OCD over this. I don't need to paint strip the entire paint job, I don't think, in order to do what I need to do to this ship, because this is a botched 3D print anyway. I mean, it's not terrible, but I'll show you in a moment, especially if somebody tunes in live, what I'm actually trying to do. But essentially, when I 3D printed this, I did it in 2 parts, and anybody who has a 3D printer, I'm sure people have varying levels of success with these things. I was pretty reluctant to get a 3D printer originally, because I knew there was going to be some shenanigans involved, and it wasn't a surprise to me when I ran into some minor things. I should put some music on right now. Maybe not for the viewer, but for myself, because I don't want to get a copyright claim here. Not a second one. I still gotta manage the last strike I got. I don't know what I can do, but look, I'd happily send an apology letter, retract the video. I think I already did. I think it was automatically done on my behalf, but I would do whatever needs to be done. I was in the wrong for doing what I did. Streaming a Mandalorian episode while watching it. I mean, sure, I thought maybe I could do a reaction video, but I knew that I was going into some sketchy territory. Maybe if I did it as a clip show after the fact, maybe it would have been acceptable. But now that I have 1 strike under my belt, I'm afraid to do the experiment to see if I can get away with that. At least in the meantime, that's something I would do on a different platform, I guess. Yeah, so there we go. We're starting to see the primer, which is perfect, because I don't think I would really need to repaint it if I could see the primer. I'll still put a coat of primer on it, because I don't really feel like doing a perfect job getting all of the paint off, but we want to paint over this silver paint job, because you see, when I first did this model, it was the first time I was painting with acrylic paint. Enamel paint. Number 2, it was just a miracle to get it to 3D print correctly, but that's another aspect. In fact, you could see some major imperfections. Maybe I'll use the big boy camera here. Alright, let's see here. Full up. I look like a dollar bill. Oh, we could do this. So, focus. Yeah, see that? It's kind of ugly. But that's okay, because, I figure the paint is going to help, cover that up. What's interesting is on this bottom, you can see that gray finish is the primer. And so what we're doing here is what's funny about that primer is it looks better than the paint job I put on it. Like, the primer went on nice and flat. It takes on a nice gray color scheme. It looks like the Orville. And I thought putting this brighter silver color or metallic color on it would be even better, but I don't know, it doesn't look right. Like, it's too shiny. You know, I thought that the other one was too flat and this would be too shiny, but honestly, the only reason I would paint it is just because the primer is not a paint job, but still, matching the color of the primer would have been better. I should really put my Discord info up on here, my personal Discord name, so people can message me. Yeah, but that would be fun with people messaging me saying, "Hey, I'm in the YouTube chat." In case I'm not paying attention, I get like a little notification. I'm still learning how to do this. Oh, that's cool. I only dropped 3% of the frames. The longer this stream runs, the less frame, the lower the percentage. Alrighty. Okay, good. We're seeing more primer. Now we'll do the part behind of the bridge. Alright, so allow me to explain why I'm doing this. Full up camera. This filter thing, I gotta really, you know, I can see where, I think they have like a mobile app you can install for OBS so you can toggle things on and off. But see that line on your left? That's because this was two separate parts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of a little bit more of the paint job, and then we're gonna stick some Tamiya modeling putty inside of that gap. That putty is literally for this type of thing. It's, you know, normally with not, this is a 3D print of my own, but with modeling putty, you would you know, you can reconstruct broken pieces if you make a mistake. You damage a piece of a model kit, or if you just wanted to modify something, enhance it. Oh, I'm sorry, where are my mayonnaise? Do we even want this dollar bill here? I mean, oh, I love that lens flare. Look at that lens flare. I mean, that is some J.J. Abrams type crap over there, huh? Speaking of lens flare, I was watching some home videos and there was a clip where my dad's camcorder got some sick lens flare, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's being a regular J.J. Abrams right here. Oh yeah. Am I overloading my microphone? I see I'm hitting the red zone a little bit, but you know, I mean, if I'm being too loud, I can lower it, but I would need some viewers in order to tell me if I'm being too loud. And that's okay, look, I don't hold it against anybody for not watching. Alrighty, there we go. Man, I'm gonna have to wash me hands before I get onto the next phase of this operation here. Better do a good job of sanding the part of this ship where I'm gonna put the putty, because that's the part that, you know, we want proper adhesion. fact, I'm starting to see white. Did I? Oh, yeah. I think I've 3D printed this in like white and black, or white and silver. I used like 2 different 3D printing filaments. But I'm seeing this like bright white color here, which makes no sense to me unless that's something which happens to the primer. I don't remember using white filament on this. In fact, I did not use white. Oh, you know what? That might be the glue. I think what I did was I tried putting excess modeling glue over there, hoping to melt everything together. It didn't work, but you know, it was worth a shot. Alright, so I rushed through making this 3D print because I was really excited about painting it. But we're going to try to get these little corners here. We're going to try to refine this corner right. Yeah, you know, I mean, like, I can tolerate some of this. Alright, we're gonna make this into like a hot dog roll. Yeah, man. And we're gonna go and just like using a towel in the. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna break a warp nacelle. Not bad. Oh man, that's coming together nicely here. You dare me to use my airbrush in my bedroom? Well, I'm not gonna do it unless somebody, you know, watches my show. But also, I don't think I would do that because, you know, I got a tortoise living in here. But, you know, I mean, ah man, it's a shame I'm talking to myself here, but I got some ideas here. So, let me make sure that the sharing link is actually the same link I put out. I'd hate to find out I gave out a link that isn't functioning. Alright, good, it is the same link. Ooh, I got some grit in my mouse pointer. I'm gonna have to clean it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that isopropyl alcohol before I touch my mouse pointer again. Not one viewer, yo. I feel like one of those girls on Twitch. You know, they're like... except that I'm not actually asking for money, but if I was, I'd be like one of those girls on Twitch going, yours is broke, you aren't responsible enough to buy my Twitch membership, or something, I don't know, whatever they say on Twitch. You know, I could probably get like 4 people to watch me right now, if I sent out messages on Facebook, but you know, I'm a little shy. I'm still learning how to do this. And I can't touch my mouse pointer right now because, well, I just, you know, let's see here. Because I got dust on it, so now I gotta clean it off before I can use my mouse, or else I will damage my trackball. So yeah, we're killing multiple birds with one stone right now. So when I first painted this, I did try to be less lazy about the sanding job on part of it, but then I kind of just gave up on bothering to work too hard on the back of the upper 2 quantum pylons. Where's my... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera angle. Oh. Alright, it's coming along nicely. Oh, that is buttery smooth right there. See, I was originally using regular paper, sandpaper on here. I mean, it was good sandpaper, you know, different levels of grit, but it didn't really, you know, have like this foam backing. It really makes it easier to get a good, you know, sanding going, because it can fill the gaps. It sort of conforms to the curves or to the textures. Alright, this is going to be the tricky part here. But yeah, later on I got a friend visiting my house, but, you know, sometimes if I want to, I don't know, I mean, like, I'm learning to do the streaming thing, but I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff that I can stream. Like, if my friend and I work on a project, I could stream something maybe for educational purposes, you know? And the thing is that my downstairs lab isn't really set up for streaming. In fact, it's got like a loud rack mount server in there, but you know, I mean, no big deal. I have a couple of ideas. I was thinking about purchasing a broadcast microphone, a dynamic microphone with a very narrow, you know, very narrow figure eight. In fact, no figure eight. It would be, you know, a very directional microphone, but that would help me deal with the amount of excess background noise in my server room. On the other hand, I may bring this microphone downstairs tonight if I think I'm going to make use of it. And, you know, one really cool thing about OBS is the virtual web camera. I mean, I hopped onto this last time, a while ago, like a few weeks ago, but it's a cool feature. Like, if I want to have two microphones being used at the same time, you can do this in OBS. In fact, maybe I will publish this in my technical section. Beyond that, however, I would like to learn how to stream from a mobile environment. So I'm thinking, like, you could do everything from a mobile phone, but I think that an ideal mobile streaming would be like if you could forward your data signal, your video signal from your mobile phone to a server or a desktop computer at home. And if the stream originates from the home computer, well, you know, that thing is not going to lose its connection, but if the mobile phone loses its connection, you could reconnect to your own personal server. I think it could potentially be less disruptive. Whenever something goes down, you know, you could play some, you know, background bumpers, whatever. But as we get into the springtime, you know, I could potentially maybe experiment with in real life streaming. I ride a bicycle. I like talking philosophically. Sometimes I just brainstorm random stuff when I'm out in the field. I mean, this could be a real flop of an idea. I mean, I've experimented with variations of this in the past, but I think there's something about doing live streams where you have that human interaction. It's like, I don't know, it just changes things a little bit in a good way. Yeah, so the beauty of enamel paint, I'm using Tester's enamel, but I may buy some Tamiya enamel paint, is that it levels itself out. As you're painting it, you'll get streaks, you'll get lumpy areas, but, you know, if you do things more or less correctly, it'll self-level and even itself out to a nice, even coat. And, in theory, it should fill the cracks. Whew. If you wonder why I always wear the same thing in most of my streams, it's because my room gets a little warm, and you know, you can never go wrong with a clean white t-shirt. A clean white undershirt or a quality t-shirt made of, you know, reasonably thick cotton like this one. And, you know, I mean, doing what I'm doing right now, I'll get it dirty if I was wearing a good t-shirt, you know? I just got a new Gundam t-shirt, but, in fact, I think it was RX-93 New Gundam. So it's not like I'm opposed to it, but, you know, I've changed up my fashion over the years. Years ago, I used to be big on, wearing nothing but a t-shirt and jeans. But yeah, we got big things coming. I wasted half my weekend sleeping, and I have a long weekend. I have like a 3-4 day weekend because I work 12-hour shifts, and I hope I get to continue that schedule. I love it. But you know, like sometimes I'll sleep my first day, I'll kind of waste a lot of time. Oh, and I just identified another spot. Whoops. Oh, you can see it in the corner. Yeah, that line on the front of the quantum warp nacelle. So we're gonna also sand that a little more vigorously, and we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna fill that up with some putty as well, some Tamiya modeling putty. Yeah, I should probably get a sanding twig. In fact, wait, I think I do have some sanding sticks here somewhere. Well, I got more downstairs for sure, but I think what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to clean off the surface that I've done the modeling on. Okay, it's still a little dirty, but okay, we got some backup surfaces here. I don't even know what side of this cling wrap is the dirty side anymore. But I'm gonna be right back. I want to retrieve some supplies. But oh man, it's gonna be really hard to type on this, but I'm gonna try. BRB. Oh man, it's gonna ruin my mouse is making these ugly grindings. Oh, it's terrible what I'm doing. Alright, we're gonna put you up on screen. We're gonna put on. Alright, there we go. And you know, I mean, we're gonna do something cool here, even though this ruins my screen, my mouse a bit. There we go. See that? We got a little box up here now. It will put a little tool in the corner so we can make this a little more contrived. See, look, you got some tools. Looks like a legitimate modeling operation here. We'll put the roll of tape down here. So if you don't rewind, you'll think that I organically have all of this stuff out on my desk. And if you do rewind, well, you'll get a chuckle that I made a point of maneuvering stuff on my desk. But yeah, before I go downstairs to retrieve stuff in case somebody comes in while I'm away. Ooh, look at that. I just kind of cleaned off some gritty stuff here. I gotta really work on my setup longer term, but you know, I wanted to use a pair of 1080p Logitech webcams, but things get a little weird when you use two identical same brand name webcams. Maybe that's not normal, but for me this is what happens. So I use two different model numbers of webcam and I seem to get better results. There could be other factors, but that was the issue I was encountering. So anyway, what we've done so far is we've sandpapered this ship. That was like step one, and removed most of the glossy metallic paint. Next step is to maybe sand a little more, maybe do some finer sanding in these corners, especially over here, because it's ugly over here. Like, once again, I got dust. I got to clean my mouse off before I can do anything, but you can see like these rough patches, especially between the body of the ship and those little gaps. So we're going to you know, we're gonna go and get that sanding twig, stick it in that little space. I'm also inspecting the seam here between the two half sections of the ship, and I'm kind of just scraping at it because ultimately I'll swap out for a sharper blade. But I think what we want to do is we want to clean out any visible gaps, and then we're going to fill those gaps up. You know, after we clean them, we're going to fill them up with the same putty that I already intend on using in the top crack. Because what's interesting is, like, on one side of the ship, there's like no seam on your right side, but on your left, you can see a visible seam. So it's amazing how, like, neatly everything glued together on just one side, but on the opposing side it's like awful. On okay, good, I didn't break it. On the bottom, you know, it's like same, you know, it's got some lines, but it's not terrible. But this like left side was like totally untenable, like ugh. So anyway, it works out because, oh god, alright, I gotta go get some glue now too. No big deal, I was gonna put putty in here anyway, so if anything, I have like a little separation here. You probably can't see it without me snapping it. Yeah, there it is. So we'll just drop some glue in there, and heck, I could probably reseat it a bit, but it looks like the gap will be there no matter how I reseat everything, so no big deal. I just gotta be a little careful when I go to do the next few steps of sandpapering. So with that, I will be back. Leave a message, even if you can't stay tuned. If you drop in, leave me a message. Although I can look at the statistical data, and sadly not one person has tuned in. It's totally understandable. I might have screwed up in the beginning of the stream, so notifications might not go out. Alright, very, very good. Yeah, I'm drinking this weird energy drink. I don't promote it, but, you know, I go on a bike ride, you burn some protein. This supposedly has something in it that helps muscles regenerate. I'm not really, well, I'm not going to get into the detail here. But, you know, I might do some pull-ups later on, so, you know. Only issue is this beverage had my heart racing when I went to bed last night, so I don't think I would make a habit of drinking it. Yeah, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna go retrieve tools, rewind about 5 minutes if you want to see me explain why I'm doing what I'm doing to this starship. Otherwise, I'll talk through it when I come back. Alright, no viewers. Oh man. I wonder if notifications even go out for this one. I'm thinking about restarting this stream because forgot something. Right. I'll be right back, but not that anybody's listening. Alrighty, pardon me. I think we're gonna share my link elsewhere. Try to broaden my recognition or whatever, huh? Because you see, when I started this particular stream, I kind of made the mistake of I mean, a minor mistake, no big deal, but I didn't make it a public stream. So I don't know if YouTube actually told anybody I'm streaming right now, and I don't want to spam. I don't want to spam the Discord server that I've already shared myself upon. So we're gonna do. But you know what? It works out because I didn't share my video on other Discords. So we're gonna go make some rounds and tell the world that we are here. So let's see. First things first, let's get rid of the graphic. Second thing we're gonna do is get the link. We're gonna go over to, let's see, how do we do this here? Promote myself. Hey, what's wrong with you, computer? Oh, whoops, my mistake. I gotta click copy. Alright, let's see if this works better. Then we're gonna go to this one. And how do we do this here? Is it simply members content, paste it in? No, follow to get updates. No, that's not how we do this. Alright. Where is Mr. 414? Oh man, I forgot. Mary's game room. Oh man, it's her birthday today. I wanted to tune in, show some support, and just wish the lady a happy birthday. Oh, that's cool. That's from a month ago, but I'm sorry, I'm reading things. You don't even know what I'm reading, and I'm like mouthing off that I'm reading stuff on my screen. But I gotta go check on somebody real quick. I want to see if this lady has had. Okay, so I see my stream here, so that's good. I still don't. And happy birthday. And rumor has it that it's your birthday. Happy birthday. There we go. There we go. We wished that very kind person a happy birthday. One of the nicer people. And so I think I get it. Normally, I'd think that cooler equals slowest, but with epoxy, more heat equals faster curing. So that... Oh, who's calling me? Who's calling me? Where's my phone? I don't even know where my... I hate telephones. Oh, yo, what the hell? Hey, what's up? Alrighty. Sorry, I was leaving a comment with a guy. His YouTube channel is Omega Ordained, and what he's presently working on, what he was working on in a recent video, which kind of made me think about streaming what we're streaming right now, is that, you know, he does models. He likes to take old action figures and make resin castings of them. So he's essentially duplicating, you know, action figures that you cannot buy. Okay. How do we get the chat room up? I'm refreshing my screen here. Can I enable chat? Oh shoot! I made a mistake. Oh. Okay. I hope this works now. Oh man, that stinks. Okay, okay. You know what? Now I gotta friggin' tell people. Let's see. I just fixed. Let's see. Now the chat is now active. There we go. We're gonna notify all of the places I shared my video with in a short line item that I made an oopsie. See link above. Jeez. Oh man, I'm getting too verbose here. Making typographical errors here. What are we doing? Okay, so anyway, I'm not gonna be here long anyway because I got to eat dinner, unfortunately. Oh man, heaven forbid we eat some dinner. I mean, it's good we're doing it early today, but man, oh man. Okay, well anyway, we're putting this itty bitty blade in now. Okay, so we mostly sandpapered this guy here, so now we're going to just get a little more of the isopropyl alcohol. Oh cool, Dick Mark's into the house. That's mad funny. Oh man, you're cracking me up here. I hope my volume ain't too loud. I mean, I see the little red LED on my microphone turning red sometimes. So, you know, you let me know. I mean, I can adjust it very easily. I'm learning how to do this whole streaming thing. I think people say I'm doing all right, and I believe them, but yeah, you know, I mean, I want genuine feedback. If the microphone is too loud, because I'm sitting kind of close to it right now, but you know, it's good to have the microphone loud when you're sitting back. Because the volume drops off, the amplitude drops off drastically. But yo, I'm glad you dropped in, even if you're not staying, because you confirm that my chat is indeed working. Apparently, I'm running this stream for like 40 minutes, and I realized that it was a kids stream. So of course, you know, when it's for kids, you can't, you know, have a chat room. And so, yeah. And that was because I fired up the stream in backwards order compared to how I usually do it. So no big deal, but that's how the cookie crumbled today. Oh, bummer. Here we go. Okay, good. So we got some 600 grit sandpaper here. Alright. Good. I'm glad I spent enough money on this microphone to have a clear setup, but you know, also I'm very microphone shy. I mean, a lot of people don't like the way they sound when recorded, and that is a normal phenomenon. It's because, you know, your voice sounds different. But I know that if I speak really fast, people can't understand me. I get it, you know. So when I had an opportunity to do a stream, I said, okay, good, this is an opportunity for me to practice and get better at this type of thing. So, you know, I was like more than happy to buy a fancy microphone, and you know, yeah, 40 minutes. That's because that's my fault. You know, it's funny. Usually people think that YouTube has a conspiracy against them, and there's probably truth to it. But in this case, it was definitely my fault. I posted it as a kids stream, and so that automatically disables the chat. And I guess YouTube doesn't really see the need to notify people if it's a stream that doesn't really reach to a broad audience anyway. You know, there's no engagement if you don't have a chat box inside your video. So yeah. But anyway, so once I enabled it, we were good to go. Lesson learned. But yeah, you know, I bought like a miniature microphone years ago, and I practiced a little bit, but I never really did anything with it. But I set it aside. I think I bought it because I had a job interview on Skype, and I didn't really know what to expect. But I was like, I got my camera and microphone ready, and the guy never called me back. He was like, oh, fuck. I had one phone call with this guy, and he was like, yeah, nah, this guy's nuts. So no big deal. It's a good thing I didn't get that job anyway. But I had this microphone, and I was like, okay, good. Well, I'm glad I got a good microphone now. You know, I'm going to need one anyway, but when I was doing a stream, I wanted a better microphone. So, same company. The company is called Samson. And Samson, not Samsung, but Samson, like the dog. My friend had a dog named Samson, like, you know, the temple, Samson's temple. And, you know, they make good, reasonably priced microphones. You know, I'm sure they're not like high-end, like Rode, but, you know, they get the job done. They do what they say. The specification says it does low frequency. It does low frequency. It says it does high frequency. It does that. I mean, from what I figure, it's easier for a microphone to do low frequency, or high frequency than low frequency. And when choosing microphones, you know, I was torn between this one and another model made by a company, in fact, same company, but it was what they call a dynamic microphone. This one is a condenser mic, and condenser mics are more omnidirectional, so of course that means they're more likely to pick up background noise, but they're more convenient. You know, you have a few different modes, you can sit back on it and stuff. But on a dynamic microphone, they're actually not as dynamic because you got to sit right in front of it. You know, it's kind of funny how the dynamic mic is less dynamic, but in a way it's more dynamic because you can use it in environments that have more background noise, I guess. So, you know, the son of Sam, yep, made this great microphone. It's got like an instrument knob, which I'll never use probably, even though I have a bass guitar that I can't use. Well, I stink at you. I'm not a musician. It's got a manual control for the, you know, volume of the microphone itself. So that can be convenient when you don't have time to go into the actual settings menu on your computer, or if you don't want to mess around with that kind of thing. Yeah, so I've already used the broad sanding thing. So mostly now I'm going into the crevasses here. get these rough edges out. I got 2 videos in the pipeline. I mean, I have like 3, but really, I think one of those 3 isn't going to go out too soon. But 2 that are, you know, in a better state. One is basically almost literally my tortoise taking a poop, but there's more to it. It's more like how to take care of a tortoise. The other video is how to import VHS tapes. The most innovative way to digitally import or, you know, digitally convert VHS tapes, because, you know, you can do it a number of ways. Yeah, exactly, about those microphones. You know, if they get a bit more bassy, they are, a dynamic mic is considered a broadcast mic. And what was interesting was my dad was listening to like old like WABC radio. They were playing like ancient radio from like the 50s or something, and for some reason they had a tendency to use this echo. Like when they spoke, it sounded like Captain Kirk when he used the ship's intercraft, the ship intercom. And so, you know, I don't know, you know, it sounds cool. It sounds like, I don't know if I would use an echo voice because, you know, that might be a little fake, but I like the concept. As for the 80s and 90s, you know, I don't remember much. I just remember, you know, depending on who your friends were, they would be like, oh yeah, Hot 97 is great if they liked rap, or they'd be like, Z100 is awesome if they liked generic pop music, or if people were into like, you know, rock music, they would listen to 92.3 K-Rock, and you know, it all depended on, I guess, what you were into. K-Rock 92.3 was where Howard Stern was residing back when he was sort of tolerable. So yeah, we're repainting the Orville from the TV show, the Orville. What we're doing is we're stripping away the glossy metallic paint job I put on it. We're stripping it roughly down to the primer, and then even some more because, you know, I figured might as well do a better job of getting these extra rough areas. The back of the quantum drive looks like crap. You can see like that very rough texture there. So we're addressing that here today. And you know, I mean, I'm not a OCD perfectionist, but I figure why not do a better job while I'm doing this. Monster Truck would go, yo, yeah, Raceway. What was that? Like, they had a mouse that would go, you know, Raceway Park, and it would be like this mousy sounding voice for some reason. Or maybe I'm mixing up 2 different commercials, but yeah, I remember the Monster Truck commercial. I remember seeing a TV ad for it. I remember asking my dad, why can we do that? It's mad cool. And he's like, oh man, people get crushed at those. And apparently there's been 1 or 2 incidents. I think it was just making up excuses, but but it's true. I mean, you know, depending on where you sit, you will get crushed by a monster truck. Monster trucks are cool too, man. We had a guy on my block. I mean, I think he still has it parked in his backyard. He doesn't drive it anymore, but he had a sick monster truck. And back in the height of the 90s, early 90s, he'd park it on the street, and it had these red shock absorbers, or they had like these rubber bellows on the shock absorbers that were bright red, and it was just so inviting. Like, you just want to touch this thing. And apparently he had like a super sensitive alarm on the darn thing. Like, you touch those shock absorbers just slightly, barely touch them, and it would honk the horn like really loud. And good deterrent. I mean, first time you touch that thing, you never touch it again. Oh. And you know, anyway, that guy was cool enough. But what happened was, years later, my friends were drunk, and there was an Easter bunny on his lawn, and they decided to stab the Easter bunny. Well, not all of them, just like a subset of the friends. And I got this video. Maybe I'll upload it one day. I mean, I don't want to endorse crime, but if there's a way I can, like, you know, put it up under the pretext of, like, you know, don't do this, and under the pretext of I totally wasn't involved in any of this, but I was there, I would maybe share it out. Maybe I should put it under a different channel or alias, but I mean, it was kind of funny, and it was like one of these situations that degenerated real fast. Like, kid goes, stabs the bunny, the ears start leaning over, but he's like, the job's not done. So he goes back to the bunny to stab it a second time. This time the guy's waiting by his window, and the kid trips over himself when the guy says something, and of course we all run. And next thing you know, a couple of people, including the guy with the camera, whoever that was, is hiding behind a car, and this guy's like just yelling up random driveways like, "You messed with the wrong guy!" and like you know, I think one of the kid with the camera went over a fence into a cemetery and went into his friend's backyard through the backyard route, because, you know, the cemetery bordered the backyard. And that's how he got back. And then the owner of the house was like, "Okay, everyone put down, you know, $20, okay? Or I gotta give this guy $100 to make the cops go away," because he made a deal. He said to the guy, "Hey, look, I'll give you $100 if you tell the cops to go away," you know, because he called the cops at this point. And so, you know, it worked out, paid for the bunny and all of that. But oh, what an awful incident, man. After that, the guy didn't really, like, I'm sure, like, he got along with the owner of the house, but not the party animals, so to speak. Right, I'm racing the clock here. Alrighty, where do I put this here? Well, let's see. I think we'll just go apply some glue to the broken part now. We'll clean it off again, then we'll apply some glue, some adhesive. Char is fighting for our dreams. Ow. Okay, we're good, we're good. We didn't blade ourselves. Yeah, 3D printers are a huge pain in the butt. I mean, they got their good moments, but there are some, you know, things about them that make them, you know, sometimes they don't feel like they're worth the trouble. Depends on what your goals are. But, you know, like, if you think you're gonna make money off a 3D printer overnight, you know, I mean, just don't have dreams of grandeur. You could make money off 3D printer, there's a number of ways, but, you know, I bought my 3D printer. 90% of the reason was to print starships for myself, for personal use. Not to sell them, because, you know, that's got all kinds of copyright issues or whatever. I mean, like, you know, maybe someone else has their own model they want printed, okay, but you know, you're not really supposed to set up an Etsy shop and be like, go buy my unlicensed starships. Alright, so we're just cleaning off the dust again, especially from the area that we're about to glue. Yeah, man, well, you know, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, Star Trek, you know, was, you know, at the, sort of like, you know, reached a, you know, I mean, depends on who you ask, but it sort of, you know, wasn't in its best state after Voyager ended. I mean, you know, I personally liked Enterprise with Scott Bakula, but even I stopped watching it during its prime. I don't know, I didn't stick to it for some reason. I think I was busy trying to, like, you know, be cool or something, but, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And when I revisited that show, I was like, no, this is a pretty good show. Even the early seasons that I got bored with. In fact, I think I was okay with the early season. What I got bored with Enterprise was around season 3. Like, they were trying to make it cool like Deep Space Nine with the Xindi War, but like, I don't know, I just felt like it felt cheap. It was like 9/11 War on Terror action. I'm just gonna get my good glue. I'll be right back. Okay, I got really good glue here. I got this Tamaya fancy glue. I stocked up on good art supplies here. But yeah, so I mean, Voyager was pretty decent. Minor complaints about it, but you know, I mean, nothing big. Enterprise, I got lots of enjoyment out of, but I can understand why a lot of people fell off the wagon for that show. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Oh my gosh, I'm so confused by this. This product came with this like little holder. Okay, that's not too confusing. Okay, good, I found a missing piece. Good. So you put your glue inside this holder like so. That's pretty simple. You can put your extra fine tips here. I hear you, man. I mean, I can see where, you know, one could burn out on Star Trek. You know, I mean, like, yeah, like, you know, I went on a break for a while from Star Trek as well, but I hope I'm doing this right. But, you know, I mean, like, once in a while I watch the movies. Once in a while I watch the, you know, repeats or whatever. And I'm a happy camper. There's definitely a trick to this glue here, but I'm just going to snip off the end after I investigate this a little more. Okay, so we do this. See, it comes with this pointy thing. But yeah, I mean, like, I stopped keeping up with Enterprise because I was just like, I don't know, it was like, it wasn't doing it for me at a certain point. This whole, like, Xindi War. But getting back on topic of 3D printers, so, I mean, look, like, first thing, I knew pretty much up front that 3D printers would be a little bit of a pain in the butt because, like, you got this, like, nozzle that's squirting, you know, melted plastic. And like, the bed underneath it has to be aligned and level. And if it's not level, you know, things don't come out right, or the thing will just malfunction. And I knew this was gonna be a high probability of trouble here. But what got me was this is very interesting how this glue works. Okay, I think we got it. So, you know, and I wasn't surprised when I had some, you know, issues with the 3D printer up front. Hey, what's up, Pacific? Basically, like, it did serve its purpose. It lets me print starships. The biggest challenge with 3D printing, I find, is actually with flat and wide objects. I had a coworker, they asked me if I could print them out a plaque, like basically a circular plaque with a logo on it for their fan club, or for like they're in a club like a kung fu club or some kind of Hong Kong culture club. And, you know, like, I was able to take a picture they sent me, flatten it out, take a flat image and turn it to a 3D file. Basically, you turn it in from a graphic into a vector art in Adobe Illustrator, and then you can make it into 3D. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Pacific 414. He's got a pretty cool channel. I believe he's got a stream coming up either tonight or tomorrow. In fact, I'm pretty sure like in an hour he's got something coming up. You know, feel free to shout yourself out if you have something coming up in 1 hour. But I recommend Mr. Marks you subscribe, unless of course you burnt out on sci-fi. I get it, you know. Deep Space Nine was really cool. And you know, Voyager, I love making fun of one aspect of Voyager, and that is whenever they had a shortage of deuterium. Like, because I didn't know this back then. I knew, okay, the ship runs on deuterium. And like, you know, I just knew that this was important. Later on, I did a little more research. I learned, okay, if the impulse engines utilize it in some capacity, cool. You know, I'm fine with this. But where I ran into issues is when I learned that deuterium is like a very common element. Alright, I'm going to probably be, I'm going to try to push the glue out of this straw. Hope I didn't get any on me. No, I didn't. Okay, good. But yeah, you know, so I discovered that deuterium is a very common element. Like, it's basically a form of hydrogen. Alright, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Cool, that works because someone else has a stream. I think Orville has a stream tomorrow evening. I mean, not that people really are annoying about that. People are pretty cool about overlapping streams, but still, I always try to be cognizant. But yeah, it works out. I mean, I don't know anyone else streaming at 3 p.m. and 3 p.m. is around my nap time. So, you know, I mean, I could watch before or after my nap, so that's cool. In fact, your streams run long, man, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I could drop in, participate in the chat, and then if I can't stay, I drop out, drop in, I can rewind. So, you know, it's all good. But I do find it interesting. Sometimes you do run pretty long streams, so shows some dedication there to what you're doing. And I also like, yo, speaking, I'm glad you're on here right now, Pacific, because I've been meaning to get in touch. I wanted to say that I really liked the collector stream, and I hope you do another one in the future, or more of them, because, you know, I'm sure people have a lot of stuff. Maybe if you tell people you'll be doing it again, they won't worry about getting all of their stuff out. You know, if they could maybe break it up, not, you know, cover too much material in one stream. But you know, like when I'm on other people's stream, so I had a piece of glue on me, I like to do show and tell. I like to show stuff that I have. So when we're talking about Star Wars, I'll pull out a Star Wars action figure. If we're talking about Empire, which I wasn't in an Empire stream, but I would pull out my IG-88 figurine. If we're talking about Return of the Jedi, I pull out my Slave Leia action figure. On a stream, somebody briefly mentioned Babylon 5. I whip out my Star Fury fighter. You know? And so, this is obviously not really a collectible, so I wouldn't show this on a collector's stream. But what I would show on a collector's stream would be, you know, just, I got an accumulation of Star Wars and Star Trek toys. In fact, hang on, I think I have a Sovereign class Starship Enterprise in my drawer. I got me an MP3 CD player. Where is it? We got a Zappa gun. I got a roller ruler. Who remembers the roller ruler from the 90s, huh? Yeah. I'm not gonna find the warp nacelles right now, but see, I got a Sovereign class Starship Enterprise here. Nacelles are somewhere in the desk drawer. I should clean it up at some point. I was thinking about hanging this up on the ceiling, but every time I see the deflector dish, I always think about Worf shooting a phaser rifle saying, "Assimilate this," and then, you know, you get that epic music. So, you know, I got things I would be delighted to show on a collector stream, and, you know, I wouldn't overwhelm it, but, you know, I mean, I wouldn't just talk about stuff, and I understand people can't show all of their personal stuff. Maybe they have it in storage or somewhere else, but I assure you that if given an opportunity to participate in a collector stream, I will bring toys, I will bring props, I will show stuff. So that might, you know, help to spice it up a little bit. And if you're not seeing my message right now or hearing me, I will shoot you a message later on, but it's all good. I know folks gotta be on the move here. Let's see how many people. Oh, I got 3 people watching. All right. So let's see here. Let me minimize this. Okay. But yeah, so if that's what I would do, is I would show my starships. I have the original Enterprise 1701. I have a mini figurine set of the Enterprise D. I'm gonna clean this off a little more. I mean, I got a variety of things. I got a original series shuttlecraft Galileo. But getting back to Voyager, Mr. Dick Marks, I just wanted to mention, so regarding deuterium, so it's basically like a form of hydrogen from what I understand. And hydrogen is like one of the most common elements in the universe on its own. Deuterium is pretty much up there in terms of being common. I believe that there's like a process by which you can extract deuterium from the ocean. Saturday, April 9th, 8 p.m. and the topic is pro wrestling. Okay, so no worries, you know, whenever, you know, I'll keep my eyes on your announcements and notifications, Pacific. Yeah, whenever you do it, I'll keep my eyes peeled. Whenever you do a collector stream, I'll drop in on the pro wrestling thing if I can, because, you know, it's always interesting, the conversations and the people you have on. My knowledge of wrestling is pretty limited, but I used to have in fact, I might still have it floating around, a King Kong Bundy action figure. If I find it, I mean, I'll bring it out, maybe take a picture of it, share it for kicks in case you want to use it in some capacity, but you know, beyond that, I didn't even know much about King Kong Bundy until, like, I was watching reruns of Married with Children when King Kong Bundy was on the show. It was kind of cool episode, a good sport. You know, I mean, one of the things I thought was interesting was on one of your previous streams, just talking about how cool the wrestling guys were. Like, they would basically comedically trash talk people in the audience back and forth, but then when the cameras were off, they would basically give a friendly thumbs up. So, I mean, you know, it's still like cool people, you know, good sports. And I don't know, you covered some interesting stuff in that stream. I mean, I learned a bit about wrestling, like how back in the day you'd go to a wrestling show and you'd expect to only see one particular fight or one particular show, and then they would proceed to, you know, be in the middle of filming the Sunday night show or something, you know, that you weren't expecting to get. So you'd essentially be the first to see various events, so that would be broadcasted shortly thereafter. So, you know, it sounded really, you know, I don't know, it was interesting to me. And, you know, I'd be curious to learn about some of the what so-called golden age, depending on, you know, it's a matter of perspective. I remember I think a man named Baron Orman Tag, who has a YouTube channel, he has a show called Baron After Dark, and I think he, like, you know, classifies golden age of wrestling a little differently, but I don't know which one is the so-called correct golden age, but you know, definitely a lot of vibrant discussion on that matter. Alrighty, so I'm thinking I don't really need to remove much of this stuff here. We're gonna go ahead and put the putty on, because we need to even this out here. So this is actually the original reason I started this process. This is modeling putty. The purpose of this Tamiya modeling putty is full up camera is to fill in gaps. Autofocus, initialize. I said autofocus, initialize. I don't know who Kayfabe is. I mean, I could Google it, but he will never die. And I swear, if that is a Star Trek character, I will be a little disappointed in myself. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this to focus. I can go into a menu. Cool! Alright, that is awesome. That's gonna be a good time right there. Yo, I mean, Baron being on the stream, yeah, he always has a good stuff to add. It's almost like standing on the shoulder of giants when, if I'm using that term right. My first ever stream that I had the opportunity to appear on was regarding Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, and that man was chock full of facts. He had his books together. He had reference material, basically. He was able to tell me if a Virago fighter was hyperspace capable. That command is not recognized. Yeah, that's exactly the response I got from my computer. Alright, so how do I open this? I mean, I can just puncture it, but is that correct? Maybe we'll use a screw. See, I knew this. Oh, you can't see my low camera angle again. But instead, I put up the main camera because I wanted to read what this label said, but I'll read it here. Features. This putty is designed for use with plastic models. Before curing, it can also be thinned with Tamiya lacquer thinner, used for repairing and modifying plastic models. This putty can also be used for repairing and covering surfaces of metal and wooden models. How to use. Wipe surface clean of oil, dust, etc. Apply using spatula type tool. After curing, shape the surface using modeling knife or Tamiya finishing abrasive. I guess that's a chemical product. But, you know, we can use sandpaper and knife. If model becomes thin, apply an extra layer. Or if putty becomes, you know, thin, so if it shrinks, I guess. Wash with Tamiya lacquer. Okay, if you gotta clean your tools off. Okay, good. We got the putty ready to roll out. Where do I? Okay, what a mess! What a mess! Okay, don't spill! Don't spill! Come on! All right, good. All right. So what I need to do is, where is my Preciso knife? Should I switch this to spatula mode? I have a spatula here somewhere. It should be right here. Check out my trackball, really nice. Huh? Anyway, I got a scoring tool here. I was going to use it maybe to score in some details. You know, I basically gradually made a point of acquiring tools that Gunpla... Ew! I'm sorry, squirting the alcohol. In fact, I'm going to work on this real quick. I want to clean... This is the, you know, thing. I want to see if I can ensure that the glue... You know, like, I find it interesting. You're supposed to put glue through this little injector, but from what I can ascertain, you get only 1 or 2 uses out of it. If you're not careful, you might make this useless. And from what I can see here, I can cut the tip off of this. Okay, that makes some sense. I can live with myself there. You know, I was hoping this alcohol would maybe assist in Oh, I think I did it. Either that or I just stretched it out. Ooh. Excuse me. Do not try that at home, kids. Alright, there we go. We cleaned this so I can still get another use out of this precision gluing tip. And the cool thing about this Tamiya glue is the case that it comes in, it has like little compartments in it. So what you would do is you would shove the extra piece into the back like that, and there we go, nice and neat. So, you know, I gradually, past few months, even before I was prepared to do Gunpla, I stocked up on various tools, things that could be utilized for Gundam models, but also for 3D printing. So, yeah, 3D printers, if you don't have it leveled correctly, you'll have problems. Leveling it looks kind of tedious. It's not that hard after the first few times, but even then it can be like playing whack-a-mole at times, and it can get tedious. Beyond that, even when all is well with the leveling, manually leveling of 3D printer, the most annoying thing I learned very early on is that, okay, so a good 3D printer package when you first buy it will come with a whatchamacallit, a heated bed. You know, a bed is where your models come out when you're printing them. And that will be heated because it helps the item, the workpiece, the model, stick to the printer bed while the bed is moving, because the printer bed will move forward and back. Basically, it's like a plotter. A plotter is like one of those printers where the paper will go backwards and forwards in order to draw a circle, because a plotter is a printer used for architectural blueprints, and they essentially you know, do it with an actual crayon or pencil instead of a normal print head. So a 3D printer does work in a similar manner, or a lot of 3D printers work in a very similar manner, except that they also have a Z-axis. Wow, this stuff has a strong scent. And by scent I mean fumes. That's okay, it's not as bad as the airbrushing. But man, it's something else. Like airbrushing, I put on a proper mask for that one. So anyway, you have a heated bed on the printer, so great. But here's an interesting caveat. You level your printer, you 3D print your starship, and then when it's done printing it, which can take like 12 hours, I mean, depending on how big your prints are, it could take 2 days. You could take 2 whole days running your 3D printer. Better hope if there's not a power outage. And so, anyway, while this is all happening, when it's done printing your model, assuming everything goes well, and you want to print something else after that is done, if you're not home or not near the printer when it completes that task, if you're sleeping, the printer is going to cool down. If the printer cools down, if the bed that is heated cools down, it will contract, because when it heats up it expands. In fact, when you level your 3D printer, you have to warm it up first, because if you level your printer, everything looks good. You know, the nozzle like lines up on all 4 corners, you know, just right, where you could put like a piece of paper between the nozzle and the bed and have just a little clearance. Well, if you warm up the printer after leveling it while it's cold, now the nozzle will grind into the bed, because the bed will move closer to the nozzle. It'll be too close. So you learn of these things pretty early on. One moment. I gotta love that Google speaker. I don't love it, but it's not convenient. I had to send a message. Anyway, so where was I? So yeah, the printer will cool down. I'm ending this in 5 minutes, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but I gotta eat. But anyway, when the printer cools down, you lose your leveling, and so anytime it cools down, you gotta re-level your printer before you can do another print. Sometimes you get lucky and you don't have to level it a great deal. Most of the time you always have to level it, and it's like playing whack-a-mole. It could be like fighting with it. When I first bought the printer, my friend convinced me, because of starships, he knew he can get me to buy a printer if he told me I could make starships, which I knew already, but you know, it got, you know, reignited the excitement to do this. But he was like, oh, you only have to re-level the printer when you move it, which is sort of true. But in practice, as I'm not surprised to learn, no, you need to level the printer pretty much anytime it cools down. So, you know, no big deal. You know, I still got some cool prints out of it, obviously, and I've continually learned how to get better prints. The printer I bought was made by a company called Creality Ender 3 version 2, which is basically available now for about $300. And when you use this particular printer, there's a couple of tricks, but what makes that particular Creality printer good is that there are a lot of third-party upgrades available for it. And, you know, basically, like, it's a good first-time learning printer. You know, you get, like, for the price, you get a good value, and as you learn how to do it, and you learn the shortcomings of a 3D printer, oh, cool, man. Yo, I've been loving the Orville Nerdporial. Good evening, sir. But yeah, I watched all of Orville. You know, I tried to hold off on finishing season 2, but, you know, I finished it, and now we're waiting for the new season. I gotta watch the preview video you posted. I kind of held off because, you know, I want to savor the Orville. I want to, you know, I just want to savor it because, you know, it's like waiting for a new season of The Expanse. You know, I mean, I remember I waited like 8 months to watch season 5 or 6 of The Expanse. I think both of them, actually. You know, because I knew that I would finish the season in no time. And with season 6 of The Expanse, they did less episodes. So yeah, I did finish it quickly. I still didn't watch all of the little mini videos, so I'll get around to it. But I read the entire book already that season 6 is based on. But yeah, season 2 is very awesome. It's like all of Orville felt like Star Trek. Oh, good. I appreciate more Trek bashing. I mean, it's got to be mentioned because, I mean, the thing about Orville is that it does what Star Trek used to do correctly. And, you know, I'm not saying that Gene Roddenberry's vision has to be adhered to, but, you know, it's like, look, you want to make Star Trek for non-fans? At this point, whatever, fine, do what you want, Paramount or CBS. But I love when people will argue and they'll be like, oh, it is the prime timeline because CBS owns it and they can say what they want. And it's like, okay, be that as it may, I don't like it. And I was being accused of being triggered when in reality I was just pointing out that I haven't been happy with the state of Trek ever since the JJ movie. I mean, actually, I was okay with the JJ movies being a self-contained thing. But when Picard came out, they said this would be the prime timeline. It was not the prime timeline. It's what they called a prime timeline. And of course, you know, somebody on Facebook was all like, oh, well, you know, because of the time travel, it is the prime timeline. But it's like, look, they know damn well what they said, what you know, people would think they meant when they said it takes place in the prime timeline. Okay, like, when you say prime timeline, people don't assume that you're going to retain changes from the JJ verse. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, look, it's not like they're obligated to, you know, adhere to our religious zealotism over Star Trek, but they do a good job of making it like Star Trek. I mean, the fact that Brannon Braga is involved, I can see that as I'm watching the credits. Not only do I see his name, but I get that sense. I get that Star Trek Voyager vibe. Okay, like, there's no way around it. I don't care what most people, well, I don't know, I mean, it's not, I don't care, but no, I definitely get a good, solid Star Trek Voyager vibe. I understand it's got some comedy in there, and I'm satisfied with it. Like, I make jokes about Star Trek while watching it. When my mom, my late mother, was watching Star Trek Voyager back in the 90s, I remember there would be episodes where my mom would crack a joke. She'd be like, something would be happening, and she'd be like, they got 7 minutes to solve whatever, you know, or they got 7 minutes to solve this problem, because, you know, you got like a 40-something minute show, and it's like, let's say 11 minutes to 10 p.m. if the show is on at 9 p.m. And she's like, they got 7 minutes to solve whatever it is. So you got this suspenseful music going on. You got Harry Kim and 7 of 9 running around the ship scrambling like, oh, what are we going to do? It's like, well, either way, they're going to figure it out because they always do. But but it was a good time. You can make jokes, and the joke I was gonna make before point was deuterium is super common on Voyager. They're always, you know, like periodically they'll complain about not having deuterium on hand, and like, you know, deuterium is like this super common element. It's not something that goes, you know, that is in shortage. And so, you know, I didn't know that at the time, but it's very amusing once you learn what deuterium is and how common it is. Yeah, so speaking of monetization there, you know, like, I had some, I remember someone proposed some ways of accelerating that, but I didn't put them forth because I think you're doing great on your own. You know, like, you don't need like any, you know, workarounds to accelerate the pace at which you monetize your content. It's coming along nicely. You know, one guy was saying, like, on one of these other channels, oh yeah, you can have people watch playlists. And it's true, if you're genuinely watching content in a playlist, that is a way to help, you know, a creator get to their goal. But I wouldn't advise people to just play a playlist. In fact, I would highly discourage playing a playlist on autopilot when you're not present, because years ago I remember Google AdSense, which was like, you know, they pay you for having web advertisements on your website. They would sometimes get triggered pretty easily if you were manipulating that, or if they thought you were manipulating that. And so, for instance, if you click on your own web advertisements on your own website, on your own IP address, that's like a red flag to them. They don't like that, and it's understandable. You know, they're getting paid by sponsors, or people are paying to have ad placement, and every time somebody clicks on an advertisement, money changes hands, you know. So obviously, if they think that if they see you manipulating it yourself, that's a red flag. They definitely don't like that. They will just take away monetization. If, on the other hand, you know, they see a pattern that looks suspicious, they also will say something. So sometimes it might be accidental. They'll give you a warning, but that's why I definitely discourage people manipulating, you know, the YouTube thing. But if you're genuinely watching a content creator's content, maybe you're walking on the subway train wearing your headphones or something, yeah, you know, you could totally, you know, like, put on a playlist instead of letting it autoplay to a completely different channel. Might as well listen to the same content creator for a little bit longer, especially now when they're about to hit a goal. My favorite Star Trek series, you know, I like mostly all, but let me think here. Orville. No, jokes aside. You know, I was born into Next Generation, and in fact, when I first started watching the original series on VHS tapes that were recorded during a Star Trek marathon from the late 80s, early 90s, I you know, like, it was like this strange relic to me. I'm like, what is this ugly looking? Well, it wasn't ugly, but it, you know, it definitely looked like, you know, a far cry from what you see of the ILM work on the Enterprise D. But you know, I mean, like, I guess I've always liked TNG a lot. You know, it's a solid series. It's got a bit of that TOS thing going on. You know, it's just like a newer version of the old Enterprise, and they're doing basically the same thing. But sometimes I'm in the mood for the original series, and sometimes I really appreciate the original series more. I do actually enjoy the first season of TNG. It's got this like nice, I don't know, I just like, it's got a certain charm to it. A lot of people don't like it, but I like a lot of first seasons. Babylon 5, I enjoy the first season of that. Once again, it's got a certain charm to it. I love, like, even though all of the quarters, all of the, you know, rooms on the station that the ambassadors live in look the same, and they're kind of cramped. I don't know, it's just a certain charm when watching Via Koto and Londo being funny. But yeah, Next Generation is up there near the top of the list. DS9 has some very strong points. I don't want to just default to saying I like DS9 because of the war. And there are times in DS9 where I felt like it dragged out slow. I mean, that episode with the, what was that song they're playing, like, they're like in a simulated dream universe, and they have that guy who's like, in fact, it was a lot like a Voyager episode. Anyway, getting to favorite TNG character. Counselor Deanna Troi? No, I'm kidding. I'm sure she's cooler than in real life. But anyway, Riker is always amusing. Geordi. I like Geordi. I mean, you know, I like the engineer. I'm always inspired by the work of the chief engineer on any Starfleet ship. And, you know, between Scotty and Geordi, they always pulled, you know, miracles. Or, you know, in fact, they were skilled. They didn't need miracles. They were skilled at their jobs, you know. Although, no, there was an element of miracles involved at times, you know. There's got to be when you're inside a pressurized tin can. And you're running low on auxiliary power and stuff. But yeah, Geordi, I mean, he has like this cool visor. I wear glasses, Geordi wears glasses. He has cybernetic implants, but he's not an evil Borg. Oh, cool. Well, let's see. I mean, I got collectibles of Star Trek stuff. You know, I was just mentioning to Pacific before how, like, whenever he does it, you know, I'll be looking forward to whenever he does another collector stream. Because, you know, like, anytime, like, I'm on any stream, I seize opportunities to show, you know, anything I have that's relevant. Like, when we did Shadows of the Empire, what did I have? I had some pictures of the Outrider and other related toys. You know, when you did Return of the Jedi, I really only had a Princess Leia action figure to show for it. But, you know, any opportunity I have to show a relevant item, I do it. One moment, please. Alright, just had to broadcast a message. Yeah, that Klingon episode was interesting, and it, you know, gave me a bit to think about. I think that was on a Sunday, so if I remember correctly, I watched it on a Sunday. I think it was streaming on a Sunday, and that's my first... Sunday is like my Monday when I go back to work, and the time it streamed was during the tail end of my shift during wind down. So that was kind of cool, you know. It kept me like occupied while I did some of my final paperwork and operating duties. Q, yeah, I mean Q, a lot of people love Q because I mean, especially when he had that air of mystique. And you know, like I'll give it some more thought, Nerdporio. I really appreciate you putting that question forward and, you know, offering the opportunity to do that. You know, that's cool. But yeah, I'll give it a little bit of thought. But, you know, if you think of anything before I do, you know, I'm all ears. You know where to find me. But that's a good thing. Yeah, you definitely, you know, anytime I'm on a stream, I'm getting more and more comfortable just doing this kind of thing. And so I think I'll, you know, be less reserved, I guess, you know, and I try to do my homework, whatever the topic is, I try to do my homework. A lot of times if there's a novelization related to something, I'll do the audiobook, and on one preparation I did, I listened to an audiobook at like 2 times speed to get through it quicker, and it worked out. I took some notes because when you use audiobook apps, whether it's the free audiobooks or Audible, you can basically bookmark different parts of the book and like leave little notes, so it's very easy to go back to those notes later on and play back a clip, or, you know, transcribe your own notes. A lot of cool things about that. Oh, well, how about that big hug? Yeah. those face huggers, man, they just want to, you know, give people hugs. You know, they're not bad, they're not trying to harm anybody, they're just misunderstood. And that's the problem with you humans, is you always misunderstanding that which you do not understand. I feel like that's something someone like Q would say, or, you know, I'm sure there's an alien on Star Trek that has said something along those lines. You people resist whatever you don't understand, or whatever the heck, you know. But yeah, anyway, I'm really lagging here. I really hate to cut and run here to eat dinner. But, you know, I hate for the dinner to get cold now. But this was a real blast, and I'm, you know, planning on doing this more often. Whenever I do my own streams, I try to check, see if anybody else is doing anything. I never want a conflict with anyone's stream. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do. If the other streamer is more established, people will tune into them as they should. And I will always get the message, you know, no big deal. But, you know, I try not to overlap other stream time slots unless, you know I'm not splitting an audience. Yeah, man. Yo, dude. Oh, yo, I'm glad you mentioned audio. So, yeah, you know, you saw my video, and I'll show you real quick before I go. So, where is it? Okay, main display. So, yeah, this is the plugin. Now, first time I set it up, I click on this automatically set up checkbox. Let's zoom in. And basically, this red line, when I don't talk, closing a window. That is the noise of my computer. So let's see if we can deactivate the audio filter. But, you know, it works. So, I mean, with your computer fan, the trick that you would do is, you know, filter off. You may barely hear the background noise because, you know, if you're not wearing headphones. But basically, when your fan revs up, click on automatically build noise profile, and then, like I did in my video, I actually lowered this line so that I would let a little more background noise in on purpose, because and I have my reasons that it makes sense, but I don't need 100% background noise suppression. And I think for your purposes, your fan isn't always running, so you don't always need it to filter out those sound frequencies, so to speak. So, you know, you give yourself a little flexibility there. But, you know, you play with it. I understand, like, a lot of times I don't like to test out new things when I'm in production. It's like, so I understand if you wait a while before you play with something like this. When I do something with my telescope, sometimes, a lot of times, software updates come out. And I'm very cautious about installing software updates on my astronomy laptop because, like, you know, I'll have like maybe 1 or 2 clear nights of good seeing for the telescope, and if I'm, you know, if I update something and I knock the software out of commission and I lose functionality, I'm screwed. You know, like I may waste a good night, and then by the time I fix my software, I have work for like 3 12-hour shifts in a row. So I can see where you may not want to mess with your setup to make this type of thing work until you, you know, are confident that you don't break your setup. So you don't break your streaming setup. But yeah, this is like the key right here. This is my secret weapon to getting decent audio. That and the microphone. I was telling Mark before about the Samsung microphone I got. And I'm not saying everyone needs to spend big on audio equipment. I actually have a cheap alternative to this microphone that some people might like. But this plugin works with this plugin. Wait, let me see if I can point at it. Yeah, this plugin works with any, you know, microphone from what I can figure. You know, I bought this one around at Black Friday because I wanted something that would do simulated surround sound to experiment with, because surround sound systems are just huge and cost prohibitive. But I don't use the microphone on that. I just use regular little headphones because these are just straightforward. They do what I want. I'm happy with them. But this microphone, it, you know, gets good low frequency. Maybe I'll do a video on microphone shopping, what I did to shop for a microphone. And you know, basically there was a different microphone similar to this guy that I almost bought, but I held, you know, I decided on this one because it had more overall flexibility. But my desktop computer makes a lot of noise, and I have a computer downstairs, a rack-mounted server that makes a lot of noise. It's got like 10 hard drives in it. It's got these fans that scream, and I don't think I can stream with good audio in that particular room. But at some point, I'm gonna bring the microphone downstairs, maybe even tonight, and see how the sound goes, you know, with that setup. Maybe set up this filter in my server room and see what happens. Well, it's really the turtle room, but I put a server in the same room as my turtles because, you know, it keeps them warm in the winter. So in conclusion, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for complimenting the audio. I'll check back if I, you know, think about, you know, maybe we can come together on an idea for a topic regarding Star Trek related content. But, you know, just because I said TNG is my favorite, there may be a TOS narrative that we can cover or something. You know, TOS is really cool, and you know, whatever we cover, like, I will review that, you know, like if there's an episode or a character highlight and I know of episodes in relation to that character, I will do my homework and have fun, and I'll have fun doing it. I love like having an excuse to study Star Trek, you know. So like just like having an excuse to study Star Wars Shadows of the Empire weeks ago. In fact, Dick Marks, or Pacific 4114 is well aware of this. Nerdporial Lifeform did a Star Wars Shadows of the Empire stream many weeks ago. And I mean, you know, that was my personal debut, but that game is like my all-time favorite game. Just the game alone is my all-time favorite, but it gave me an excuse to finally sit down and, you know, read the Omnibus comic or graphic novel. I bought it in print years ago, but I bought the digital version because I'm afraid of ruining my print copy. And so, you know, we'll ponder this through. I'll resume my efforts on this later. I got a friend visiting me later on, so I don't know if I'll get to stream, but Mr. Loki of Loki's Mornings of Mischief is doing a stream tonight. So I wouldn't really, you know, do a stream at the same time anyway. And I think our friend Punkwaddle, he did something with the Puppet Guy recently. So I actually got to check that one out. But with that said, I'll catch you guys later. I got to get some kind of outro, intro set up here. I mean, you know, I was saying this before. I got to do graphics. I got to do an intro. Or I mentioned it on another video that I didn't upload yet, which I will be doing a upload soon on how to digitize VHS tapes, a exotic or innovative method by which you can digitize old camcorder tapes and VHS tapes. So with that, gentlemen, you have a good evening, and for anybody watching this on Memorex, well, thank you for tuning in. Have a good evening. End transmission.